This podcast is brought to you by Most Valuable Podcasts, leading the league in podcasting entertainment.
Hello, football fans, and welcome to the Onside Kick. My name is Ricky Widmer, and I think I could say as always for this one, because this is the second time that we've done
video
a
podcast, yeah.
video podcast for the Onside Kick, and this is the second time you've been with me. Sean Anderson joining me here. If you're listening on SoundCloud, you still get the regular podcast style, but if you're on YouTube, this is another one where we're like, you know what? Hey guys, how's it going? You guys can now see our faces, and Sean, we kind of had to do another video podcast because I don't know what it is with NFL teams, but they hate us.
Well, they hate us, and then plus, we make you guys make a podcast
and then
explaining should they do it? And then they do it. And
yep.
You're like, fuck no.
Well, no, that's exactly
the day right after too.
They couldn't have made this trade last night, so we could have talked about it on the Onside Kick. But now we get to NFL teams just want Sean involved on the podcast.
Well, that and exactly what's the Browns Eagles excuse? Because they don't have Kobe to rely on.
No,
now. They don't. The Jeff Fisher can't say Kobe.
And I have to say for the rest of you that were giving me a little bit of shit. Me and Kobe talked it out. My mom said I had to talk to Kobe because I had to apologize. She did. She watched and she didn't like that I said F you to Kobe. So we talked it out. Me and Kobe are cool.
I'm going to be extra serious. That's not a joke. Ricky's mother actually said you have to apologize to Kobe. Talk to him on Twitter.
She really told me to tweet at Kobe, and me and Kobe talked. We're cool now. We're cool. But
they didn't talk.
If you don't know the deals of the trade, here's how it went down between the Eagles and the Browns. So the Eagles get this year's first, which is the second overall, and a fourth next year. Great. Nothing.
Made out like gangbusters.
Nothing. What did you give the Browns? The 8th overall pick, the 77th overall pick, and the 100th overall pick. A first, a third, and a fourth this year. Then you gave them a first next year and a second in 2018. I don't know about you. You could have stopped at first at 2017, and I would have been like, oh, okay, that's a trade. But then you had to tack on another second.
Well, and usually we don't have a benchmark for these things for draft trades, but we do. We have the Rams-Titans trade, and if you look at the Titans, they got a pick that was later from the Rams, and they got more from them. Obviously, it was the first overall pick. But I mean, I look at this trade and I'm thinking the Browns could have got more, and the Eagles are kind of the Eagles could have got more too, or given up less. I think that this was a thing where the Eagles got 2 picks back, and where the Rams got 3 picks back, and the Titans got 2 firsts, 2 seconds, and 2 thirds. Where the Browns, they probably could have squeezed a little more out and gave up a little more, so they could have gotten maybe a 4th rounder and gave up a 5th round later. I think they could have gotten a little more out of this trade, but I think obviously clearly the Browns Browns made out like gangbusters here.
And the thing you totally the thing you get now, because this is for the second overall pick, is we have actually 2 benchmarks for this trade. The first one was, like you said, the Rams-Titans. What did they give up for the number 1? But we had this one, RG3, the Browns quarterback now, was coming out of Baylor.
You love bringing this one up.
That's another benchmark.
Yeah.
That was the Redskins moving up to number 2. And when I saw that this trade happened, I secretly loved that it was the Eagles. Because the reason why is last night on the Onside Kick, Mark Weber said the one team that shouldn't do this is the Eagles. He said they're the one team that doesn't need to do this, doesn't need to waste the draft picks. And before it happened, I even tweeted out an article, I want to say it was from the Eagles site from SB Nation, where they were even saying, don't do it. Don't waste picks to get the number 2 pick. And then it happens. To me, this is a stupid move by the Eagles just to try to get a quarterback when now what do you do with Sam Bradford?
I actually 100% agree with you, which is weird because usually I'm like, you're an idiot.
Yeah, usually I think people have that effect. I have that effect on people.
I think this is a very dumb move for the Eagles, and I'm sorry, Philadelphia fans, because I know there's a lot of you out there, and you guys are very verbal, so I'm probably gonna get fucking screwed here. But I mean, I look at the Eagles here, and you have Sam Bradford, who I mean, I don't believe is a great quarterback here, but you did sign Chase Daniels to a $8 million per year contract, I think it was. I mean, and I think I kind of believe in Chase Daniels here. I mean, he really never got a shot starting wise, and I think he's better than Bradford. So I mean, you're really paying, you're paying Bradford over $15 million. You're paying Chase Daniels over $7 million, and now you're bringing in another quarterback. Like, are you gonna have a QB battle and have your backup quarterbacks, if the rookie wins out, have them take over $23 million in cap? I mean, this is just kind of foolish.
Well, and the way that if you're sitting there or you've already typed saying, but guys, it's not even for sure that the Eagles are going to take a quarterback.
Taking a quarterback.
It pretty much is, because I've got two ways to tell you about this. The first one is I'm going to have an article down below from ProFootballTalk.com where they basically say the Eagles are apparently going to go with 3 quarterbacks this year. And number 2, I said it in the Rams-Titans video. I'm going to say it in this one. Mike Mayock put it perfectly talking about the Rams-Titans trade, and it goes the same for this one. You don't make this trade unless you're going to go up and get the guy you believe is going to be there to be the franchise, be the future for your franchise.
Well, that, and it's more, you got to jump the Niners, because if the Rams take Wentz,
I thought they were going to make this trade.
They're going to go with Goff. So you got to jump the Niners, and they were in talks with the Chargers, possibly. The Eagles were in talks with the Chargers, possibly moving up. I guess they didn't go anywhere, and they got done with the Browns, obviously. So you just got to jump the Chargers, because it was Niners at 7, Eagles at 8. You want a quarterback. You're not going to jump over all these teams. Even Dallas at 4 was possible of taking a quarterback. So you're jumping. You're not going to trade with the Chargers to jump both Dallas, and you're going to trade with the Chargers to jump both Dallas and San Francisco. And you're going to trade with the Browns to jump both San Francisco and Dallas. So it's pretty clear that they're going to take a quarterback. They're not going to jump, or be in trade talks with the Chargers just to take Tunsil. They're going to go with a quarterback.
Well, and it was funny how many teams were really on this. The Eagles, the Niners. There were rumors that the Bills were in talks to try to get this pick. And the one thing I do want to say,
I think the Jets were even thrown in there too.
Really, the Eagles, this is the second trade that they've done.
Yeah.
They had to trade up with Miami just to get the 8th overall pick, and now they've traded up again to get the 2nd. And the one thing I do find a little humorous is that 8th overall pick is not technically theirs, but you could say it's theirs because they had to give the 13th for it. But that 77th overall pick, they got that from Detroit. So it's basically Cleveland's going to make that pick from Philly via Detroit.
Well, and they were really busy in the offseason trading DeMarco Murray, trading Kiko Alonso, and trading Byron Maxwell too.
Well, that was basically them just saying, get Chip Kelly out of here. We got to get the Chip Kelly era
But
out
also
of here.
they're like, all right, let's bring in, they're also being very active like Chip Kelly. So, I mean, I just don't understand the direction that the Eagles are really going in, because you have
I don't.
You're now going to have 3 quarterbacks on your roster. You have one who's consistently injured, is always an walking injury. You have Chase Daniel, who's an unproven backup. We don't know if he can start, and you're going to draft a 3rd quarterback who's being put into Philly, who is a really tough market to really succeed in.
Which will probably be Jared Goff.
Unless they go Goff at number 1. Which I personally think they should. Check out our Rams video.
Yeah, we talked all about that.
But I just see that, this is going to be really difficult for this quarterback to gain confidence. And I know, if you look at prior engagements, it's like, all right, we're going to draft a quarterback, put him behind a starter. This isn't like you're going to be put into a QB, a battle for your spot right now, away, and be the 3rd string quarterback.
You know who's the one team, though, that they've got to be sitting here today going, fuck.
Niners.
No. Well, not even, maybe the Niners because they didn't get the trade, the Bucs. Because to me, here's how I see it. Depending on who you have going where, quarterback's going to go 1, quarterback's going to go 2. The Chargers, they're going to do what they do. Cowboys are going to follow a plan. Jaguars, Ravens, Niners, they're all, to me, going to follow the same plan that I think we've been going with.
Now. All right.
Now we have the Browns at 8. And depending on who's there, to me on my board, I have Buckner rated higher than Bosa. So to me, Bosa's the defensive end that's going to be there. But it could be Buckner, and that wouldn't be surprising because some teams may have Bosa higher than Buckner on their board. To me, how I think this is going to play out is the Browns at 8 are going to go with a defensive player, depending who falls. Bosa, Buckner, God forbid if it's Ramsey. And Tampa Bay is going to be sitting there at 9 going, well, fuck, that's who we were going to take. So then the Bucs are going to take a guy, I think they'll go offensive tackle, and then the Giants go, well, shit, now what are we going to do? And then they're going to pick somebody to where I don't think they take a guy that the Bears are looking at, but they're going to take someone to where later in the draft someone goes, well, fuck, we were going to take him.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is what I love about the draft, but at the same time, to me, the Bucs are the team that's like, well, shit, now what are we going to do? Now we got to worry about what the Browns are going to do right ahead of us.
Well, even the Browns, though, I mean, they do need help with the corner, so maybe even they go Hargraves if Hargraves is there, because, I mean, Hargraves, he was...
The big thing about Hargraves, though, and the only knock
unless
against
they need a corner, is what I'm saying.
The only knock against Hargraves is the size of Hargraves. To me, there's 3 players that could be in position for that 8th pick, and one of them would not fuck over anything because I had him going 8 anyways to the Eagles. Buckner, Bosa, or Elliott.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to go Elliott either.
I don't think they'll go Elliott. That's why I said him 3. But I think Bosa or Buckner, whoever's on the board, goes 8, screws over the Bucs, then screws over the Giants, and we see another trickle down all the way through the draft.
Yeah, I mean, just looking at it, though, it is very interesting seeing the dynamic now. And it's really, like you mentioned, like, what are teams going to do now? Because, I mean, I'm a Bears fan here. I'm a Bears and Patriots fan. Weird combo, I know. But, I look at the Bears now.
You're a Tom Brady fan.
I'm a Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Thank you for putting it that way.
Once Tom Brady leaves, you're not going to like the Patriots anymore.
I might fly the coop.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, I look at the Bears now, and maybe the Bears even see, like, all right, we might be able to get a tackle, or we might be able to get a defensive player that we want later on. We might pull the Patriots and trade down, and we might get a guy who's thirsty to get an Ezekiel Elliott and trade up.
I would not be surprised if this is the year where we see, because of this, I wouldn't be surprised this is the year we see the most trades. Where we see the most trades that we've ever seen in a first round, which to me as a fan makes watching the draft even better.
Oh, yeah, it's going to keep you on your edge of your seat because, I mean, usually you're, like, on your edge of the seat, like, all right, who are they going to go with? You usually can narrow it down to, like, 3 players. But now it's like, all right, are these guys satisfied with any of the 3 players there? And they might drop down. I mean, it's really interesting seeing the dynamic here because, we heard Buffalo is trying to bite on a quarterback because they're not totally sold on Tyrod Taylor here. So they might even want to jump up and try to trade in. Maybe we always see that, the Broncos, they're really struggling for a quarterback. I mean, are they going to do the cap deal, or are they going to trade up and try to get a quarterback before, like, the Bills take them? I mean, it's really, worrying, like, where are they going to go?
3 things are going to happen. Number 1 that we could see, a team reaches on a quarterback. So, for example,
100%.
A Buffalo at 19, they could say, well, fuck it, we're going to take a Paxton Lynch because we need a quarterback now, and that's a total reach. To me, like, end of the first round is to the Broncos. That's as early as Lynch should be thought of. We're either going to see somebody reach for a quarterback, or we're going to see, hey, if it's me, the Broncos are team number 1, and if they just say, you know what, screw it, we're going to take Lynch at 31, the Browns at 32, those 2 teams, again, can kind of hold the, okay, who wants him?
Yeah.
You know what? He's available. Who wants him? We're trading the pick. Hey, 49ers, you want a quarterback? Hey, Buffalo, you want a quarterback?
Well, now I look at, and also teams, now there's this dynamic out here with, players possibly being traded or picks possibly traded. Big news now is that Josh Norman is now a free agent. So if a team goes out and gets Josh Norman, they are filling a cornerback position. Now they're like, all right, well, we don't really have a position of need, and a guy that now we might be able to push him up. And Carolina might be like, all right, well, we just lost our number 1 corner. We might need to jump up and get a player that we really believe in. Maybe Hargraves will go to the Panthers if they trade up. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that are making this draft really interesting.
If you're in the middle to end of this draft, you're now freaking out a little bit because I'm looking right now, and this is, of course...
Or this might make your day easier.
It depends on what team you are.
It does.
But I'm right now looking at Todd McShay earlier this week came out with an article that was his, like, top 5 needs for each team. And for the Browns, here's how he put it. Quarterback. They're not going to stress that at number 8. Wide receiver. I put a star next to that one. They could say, you know what, we'll take Treadwell with the 8th overall
pick, might be a little reach,
fine.
But yeah.
A little bit of a reach,
yeah.
But I think it's going to earn out to be a fine pick. A 3-4 defensive end. If Buckner's there at 8, boom, take him. He is more of a 3-4 defensive end than Bosa is. Right tackle, they could say, you know what, both defensive ends are off the board. We're going to go with a guy like Conklin or Stanley if they're there. Or outside linebacker, if Miles Jack is still available.
Yeah.
The Browns at 8 have a chance to get every single thing they need except quarterback.
The thing that really makes me happy, though, is the Browns are kind of making you bite your tongue. You can't call them the factory of sadness anymore. They did something right so far.
No, they did something
good. Smart.
They're
and
still the
it's
factory of
impressive.
sadness
Well,
because they're Cleveland.
But, I mean, you sign Hugh. I was going to say
Wolverine.
Who.
You signed Wolverine.
You sign Hugh Jackson, who looks like a phenomenal coach and could be a phenomenal coach coming up, and you make this impressive decision to trade down. I mean, maybe they really loved Wentz or Goff, and they're like, all right, we can get these guys at 2, and then they're like, all right, well, we're not sure if we're going to get these guys. We can go with RG3, and I mean, if
no
if
pressure,
we tank,
no diamonds, right?
If we take
no pressure, no diamonds.
If we tank, then we get another shot at a quarterback next year because we don't really have expectations.
We get Deshaun Watson next year.
I love what the Browns did. I really love what the Browns did.
This is the Browns totally changing in 1 year what the Browns have done forever. The Browns forever have been the team, draft a quarterback early, and then the next year they're back at it again with the orange quarterback.
Or more reach for a quarterback. I mean,
well, I
Johnny
was trying to quote Damn Daniel there, but I couldn't say white Vans. They're back at it again with the orange Vans. That's
stop.
what they're at.
That's an old joke.
No, it's an old. Is that an old joke?
It's an old
now?
joke.
Is that an old joke?
Okay.
But no, to me, the Browns could get anything they want, that they need, except for quarterback. And I mean, it depends on what goes before them, but Treadwell probably be on the board. One of the defensive ends will most likely be on the board. A tackle will be on the board. The only thing is Miles Jack will probably be off the board for him. But one guy I want to mention, this is a prospect in particular because to me, he's got to sit there and go, well, fuck, am I going to be a top 10 pick anymore? And the second part of this question is how far does he fall, if he falls at all? Ezekiel Elliott.
Well,
because we were pegging him at number 8.
You were pegging him at number 8. I don't really know if
the Eagles
he is
at number
a top 10 value.
If the Eagles at number 8, who needed a running back, didn't take the best one in the draft, they'd be just as stupid as trading for the number 2 pick in the draft. Not quite as stupid, but just as.
Well, I just to clear this up, I don't know if Ezekiel Elliott is a top 10 value. I think people might just go because of positional need, and he is the best player at that position.
Well, that's like it. If you have a chance to draft a running back with his potential at number 8, go ahead and take him.
I don't know if he really has that potential though. I'm a little worrisome on Zeke because a running back is a fading position here in the NFL. I mean, we don't see the true impact of running backs here because if you look at the Patriots, they're just plugging and playing and they're still going without him.
But the Eagles are not the Patriots.
No, but I'm just saying it's a kind of a dying breed here of running backs because if you can get a guy involved in the passing game where Zeke doesn't really excel in the passing game.
Zeke's a guy who can go out and catch the ball, though.
He doesn't excel there, though, is what I'm trying to say.
Well, no, he's not a Matt Forte, but I mean, he can go out there and catch the ball. And to me, the thing I love about Zeke is he's a guy that takes pride in his blocking. Give me that running back all day.
My point is, I'm just trying to
especially when you have a quarterback who's got brittle knees because he's always injured.
I'm just trying to find a hard spot to where he's going to go, and
he's going to fall though. He's falling now.
I agree, and I mean, you mentioned beforehand maybe the Bears take him at 11 just because BPA, but I don't really know if he would be the best player available, and you can still fill a need there.
The thing where I've thought about it, and as we record this, it's great because I'm coming up right now with my 4.1.
Well, yeah, you put out your 4.0 and then you have to change it immediately.
Well, I can't give you an exact thought because I haven't finalized it yet. So you're getting my just raw thought. Here's the thing I have with Zeke at 11 to the Bears. I sat there for a couple minutes and I'm still debating on it. I haven't finalized anything. I'm sitting there and I'm going, is Langford the guy? Is that you just lose Forte? Is Langford really the guy that you're saying, yeah, that's my running back, baby? That's my running back.
I think people in Chicago, and especially for me, because I know you're a Vikings fan, so you're a little close-minded.
I wouldn't say I'm that close-minded.
I'm just being an ass, and I'm just joking with you.
Let's be honest. I'll probably go cornerback, but if Zeke is there, do you entertain the idea or say fuck it? Who wants him? We'll trade.
I think Pace is a smart man and might do that option, especially fuck him. Who wants him? Let's trade. I don't know if they'll use that language, but yeah, Pace is a smart guy here.
You know about me. I love F-bombs.
Especially here in now the draft's going to be in Chicago. You don't want to get booed out of that that venue. And if you pick Zeke, you might get booed.
They didn't get booed last year in Chicago.
No, because they made a smart pick.
They cheered in Chicago
because they made a smart pick.
Yeah, especially that Eddie Goldman on day 2. That pick.
Ryan Pace is a smart guy. I'm saying, I really do see them trading down, but I understand maybe you draft him at that position and then maybe you move him. I think they're really sold on Langford because you're not going to let Forte go because Forte was still productive. It was just really, can he stay healthy? He was productive when he played. So, I mean, you could have kept him and maybe seen if he would have gone with a 1-year contract, a 2-year contract, and let him play in Chicago where he is comfortable. I mean, I'm just looking at it from a perspective there. If they wanted Forte and they didn't trust Langford, they would have kept him. That's my thought. Maybe they really do love Zeke because they are holding a workout now for Zeke.
Ideally,
he's visiting Hallis Hall.
Ideally, Zeke he's not going to go past 13. And the reason why I say that is if he is there when the Dolphins are picking, the Dolphins after losing Lamar Miller are going to say, "Fuck it, we need a running back." There we go. Zeke's on the board.
It's hard to disagree with you there.
However,
it's really hard to disagree with you there.
We're going to live in a fantasy world for a second. Let's say Zeke does go at 11 to the Bears.
Yeah.
How I feel that changes things. The Saints, in my mind, who I've been on par with Todd McShay, defensive tackle, because Hargraves and Ramsey off the board. There's no corner that is, to me, William Jackson III is good, but he's not 12th overall good. They go with a defensive tackle. Now the Saints can sit there at 12 and say, we could take Hargraves and get our number one position of need, and then that maybe forces the Dolphins to say, well, do we go with a need that's not like a big one where like defensive end where we got some pretty good ones in Cameron Wake and Mario Williams. Yeah. They're getting older. They're getting older.
They're okay. I think they've done pretty well on the curse.
But I mean that's a thing that if the Bears shake things up and go with Zeke, that's another thing that's just going to just trickle effect down the draft.
Well, now it makes the draft interesting. It's really, I'm really excited now. I'm like, all right, when's it coming up? Come on, we're getting closer.
Getting that
itch. But yeah, no, this has been fantastic, and it's been really fun. But now the question is like, how is it really going to play out? Like you've been saying, like now even Treadwell, who's been falling consistently, is he going to completely fall off? Maybe.
No, I think
you might see him go into the 20s. Is what I'm thinking.
No, I'm going to say the exact opposite.
Really.
The way I see it is we're going to jump back up to the 8, 9, 10 pick with the Browns. The way I see it, Browns take a defensive end. Then Tampa goes, well, crap, we got to, I'm looking at mine. So Zeke falls.
Yeah.
Browns take Joey Bosa. I had Bosa going to the Bucs. The Bucs now go, well, shit, that was our guy. What do we need? Oh, we'll just take offensive tackle and put Conklin there. Well, the Giants go, well, shit, that's who we were going to take.
Yep.
And the Giants, looking at their needs, I think that's a pick where they can go, well, screw it. We need somebody to put on the other side of OBJ, and let's just go and take Treadwell and put Treadwell and OBJ.
They also might like someone deeper. That was a bad voice crack.
Deeper.
They might like someone deeper in the deeper. So they might go. They might go with a different wide receiver because Treadwell did have a bad combine.
But he's the number one wide receiver, and he's a guy that has the potential.
I'm not saying I don't like the kid.
Great, like the way I'll be honest, and I can say this because it's going to probably change. When I had him going to the Lions in my 4.0, I was just saying, boom, Calvin Johnson is back in Detroit. That's the kind of potential this kid has.
I don't know about that.
He can be your number one receiver, and he'd be the number two.
He can be a number one receiver.
And he would be the number 2 in New York.
I see your point, but I think more if I have a feeling the Giants will more, I don't think they're going to take a gamble on Treadwell there.
I think you think about it.
You're definitely going to think about it, but I'm just saying I just kind of have a feeling I had a feeling that Jamarcus Russell was going to be a bust. I feel like Treadwell's going to fall a little bit.
A feeling. No.
Boston,
no.
I know.
No, Boston.
I know.
See, get it, Boston, because you like the Patriots? No.
Come on.
You want to hear a funny story, by the way? No. Well, you bring up Jamarcus Russell, and yesterday on the onside kick, we were talking about Cardell Jones. CBS is comparing, like their QB comparison is the Jamarcus Russell hustle.
How?
I don't know.
How?
I didn't read it. I just saw Jamarcus
Russell had like a huge arm. Like, that was the thing.
Yeah, I'm just saying CBS. That's who they're comparing to. But the thing we're going to wrap up this podcast with is, as you guys probably know, and if you're new to the channel, you're going to find out now.
Bad comparison.
The guy running our social media site is sitting right next to me, Sean, and he ran a poll today asking you guys who the Eagles are going to take with the number 2 pick, and we're just going to talk about this poll a little bit. Walk me through what the peeps said.
Well, as former stat bitch of the onside kick and now social media manager of the Most Valuable Podcast, I put on recording another special onside kick, which is this.
Yeah, what we're doing right now.
And then I asked you guys, who are the Eagles taking at 2? 29% said Goff, 29% said Wentz, 0% said Tunsil, and 42% said other, which just meant who just tell me in the comments.
I don't know why you would trade up to take another.
Someone said Jalen Ramsey. I believe that was Nintendo Fan 5. I believe that was Michael Vasquez.
Yep.
And we have 7 votes on it, so I think it's split between the quarterbacks because it's really, who are the Rams going to take? So that's kind of why they're split there. So it's really personal preference who you think the Rams going to take, and then they're going to think, all right, well, they're going to take a quarterback. Now they're going to jump up. But Jalen Ramsey is kind of interesting there.
Mike, I do agree with your statement. Ramsey is one of the smartest players. To me, when the Titans were number 1, I was the advocate, and I was for like the 3.0, and I want to say 2.0. The last 2 I did before this last one, I was an advocate for Ramsey being number 1 to the Titans. Obviously, that changed when they traded the pick away to the Rams. But yeah, I think Ramsey would be quality at number 2. I just think you don't make this trade unless you're going to draft a quarterback.
I think I'm in agreement with the 29% of Goff or Wentz. It's because it's you got to see who the Rams are going to take, and I personally think they're going to go with Goff. So that means the Eagles are going to go with Wentz. You're not going to trade up to jump past Dallas. You're not going to trade up to jump past San Francisco at 7 and 4 respectively. You're going to go up, get past them, and take a quarterback. You're not going to go up and jump them for Ramsey unless the Chargers are salivating at the mouth, and we don't know that about Jalen Ramsey. And the Eagles are like, oh, we have a chance of getting this guy. I think it's like 99% sure that the Eagles are going to take a quarterback, and they're going to take either Goff or Wentz, and I think most likely it's going to end up as Wentz because I do think the Rams are going to take Jared Goff at that position. I think it really works well for the Rams. I really like that trade. I know they gave up a lot here, but you need to get up a lot to get that number 1 overall pick. It's worth a ton of value. I just think that Jared Goff fits better in Los Angeles. My bad. I'm not used to it yet. In Los Angeles.
It won't be for another year.
And I think he's more pro-ready compared to Wentz, and that's what you need in Los Angeles. I think Wentz might be able to, might end up as the better player, but I'm thinking more Goff can give you more right now. I think that...
And I'm on the other side. Wentz can give you more right now, and Goff is going to be a project.
And I think that Wentz here in Philadelphia, he has that time to work under Bradford, who has been a number 1 pick, or Wentz won't be a number 1 pick, but he'll be a top pick. And, he'll be able to tell him about the pressure there. And Chase Daniels has the experience of being a backup, so you can give him tips about that. And Bradford also has experience as a starter, and I think it might actually work well for Wentz. I think it might be a shit show at first in Philadelphia, but if the Eagles coaching staff and the Eagles front office can really manage that, then that might be a really great place for Wentz to grow.
You know what's going to be great to see?
What?
If the Eagles do absolutely horrible this season, and that first-round pick that they gave to the Browns is like a top 5.
Well, something you mentioned was that they're playing Week 1.
They are. They're playing regular
that's
season
gonna be a fun
Week 1.
thing, seeing who the Browns got.
RG3 versus a rookie quarterback.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun to see. But that's kind of the same thing with the Rams too. I mean, like the Rams traded that number 1, that first round pick for next year.
But the Rams, I could see it because you brought it up.
Because they're betting.
You're in LA. You're in Hollywood now.
Well, yeah, you want to make a bit bold move there.
Yeah.
But the main thing was that also they might have been like, all right, well, we see that we're gonna be past that 15 mark. We're gonna be like 15 to 30 range. We're not going to be a lower tip pick. Where the Eagles, the Eagles are always coming into to the playoff, the season
Rams,
as NFC East favorites.
The Rams and Eagles are on two different sides, coaching wise too. Where the Rams have a coach and a GM where
you're going at least 8-8.
Well, no, they're on the side of fuck, we may be ousted if we don't do well this year. We got to make a splash. Whereas the Eagles, you have a brand new coach, which the job security I would assume is good because you're coming in to replace Chip Kelly.
But also,
who
Doug
didn't
Peterson.
do so well.
But Doug Peterson, people are also like, why'd you go with Doug Peterson? So you're not sure if the Eagles are really going to stick with Doug Peterson because if he falls 2 seasons
They're
in a
not
row,
going to chud him.
They chud Chip Kelly.
No, chud it. The
Kelly.
chud is when you get fired after 1 year.
No,
because Chud was the head coach in Cleveland. He got fired.
I thought you were
1 year.
using it as a verb.
No, yeah,
like chudding him.
Yeah, when you get chudded, that means you get fired after 1 year.
Yeah, well, I said 2 years. So
yeah, no, Chud got fired in one. But is there anything that we missed before I wrap this one up?
Not really. Obviously, we covered the domino effect here of what's going to happen with these prospects.
The Eagles are stupid.
I agree with you because you got 3 quarterbacks here. Unless they're going with Wentz or they're going with Goff and Bradford and Daniels in front of them really giving them a place to grow.
Bosa? What if they just went fuck it, Bosa?
I think that'd be really dumb to give up that much to get Bosa because, it wasn't for sure that he was going to fall to them at 8, but also you could have went to 5 maybe and traded up. You could have went to 4 or maybe Dallas wanted to move down. You didn't need to go all the way that high to 2. That's the thing. You're going to go with the quarterback if you're going all the way up to 2. I just find it hard to find the value in what they've given up, especially, because I'm not sure if the Eagles can give them a place to grow. Because obviously, the quarterbacks are there, but is the coaching there to give them the place to grow? Is the management there to give them a place to grow? Is the weapons around them a place for them to grow? Because we love to compare like draft and stash with Favre and Rodgers, but Bradford's not Brett Favre, and I don't think Wentz or Goff is Aaron Rodgers here. So I think it's
not at all.
I think this is a huge gamble here, and I think it's an unnecessary gamble, like you were alluding to, where the Rams, you're making a bold gamble because you need to do this in a market that has failed before, and also you need to make a bold move in positions in the management and the coaching staff where they have been consistently on the hot seat. Where the Eagles, you're a fresh start. I think you needed to play out with Bradford and Daniels and let their huge salaries play out and see what they give you and then go for a quarterback. I just think this was a foolish trade for the Eagles. I think this is the smartest move the Browns possibly could have made. I think that what the Browns did has been fantastic.
# smartest Brown move of all time. But that's going to do it for the onside kick. Yeah, that's a mouthful for a hashtag.
Yeah,
just screw it.
Bad hashtag. This is why you're not the social media manager.
No, this isn't. This is what we're going to end the podcast on. Thank you guys for listening either on SoundCloud or watching our beautiful faces. Sean's beautiful shaven face.
I hate it.
Here on YouTube.
Fucking hate it.
I need to shave. I should. I've just been lazy. But if you're on SoundCloud, hit that little heart button, that repost, and that follow button. If you're on YouTube watching us, thanks for checking out the show, watching us. Hit that like button if you liked it. If you're new, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps us out. And if you haven't already, go check out our Snapchat, Most Valuable Pod, Twitter, Most Valuable Pod. He's at Schwarbo. I'm at Ricky Widmer. And go check out our Patreon page. Link down below in the description. Thank you guys for checking this one out. We love giving you these extra video podcasts on the YouTube. But as always, have a good day, everybody.
Thank you for listening to this MVP podcast. Follow us on Twitter at Most Valuable Pod for more great podcasts.